There are lots of political issues that are trending, ranging from the ex-president Obasanjo's advice to the president concerning the headsman saga, and most importantly, Nigerians' comments on the present administration. Nigerians are seeking for solutions on the issues at hand. Joining us on the show is a lawyer and a media entrepreneur, Chude Jideonwo. Welcome to the show. Let's start with our ex-president's letter to President Buhari.
Yeah.
He raised quite a number of issues, especially, and everybody's really pained concerning the headsman saga. In your view, do you think the president, knowing his personality, make the right decision concerning the headsman?
Did he make a decision?
So that's what I was going to ask. What we are debating is the lack of a decisive decision.
Right.
Exactly.
You see, the problem with major problem people have with the Buhari government is not really action. It's inaction.
Yes.
It's the lack of a clear sense of direction or imperative. Like, this is what is driving him. This is what he's going to do. There's nothing to trust. There's nothing there's no clear pathway. That's the issue that we are facing. And so it's that inaction. It's that, so people are reading meanings. Is it provincialism? Is it ethnicity?
Right.
Is it, what is the problem? Why is he unable to spring
people seem
to action?
to forget focus on the messenger. Because people started raising dust on Buhari, on Obasanjo, that, he was coming for a third term. Does he have the moral ground? Who is he to be telling
The president what to do?
Do you agree with that?
You see, one of the problems I have is the lack of empiricity in conversation. It is true when you look at all the politics around it that Obasanjo wanted a third term. But the truth is that Obasanjo never came out on TV to say, I want a third term.
It was the cabal around
So
him.
I'm not going to, so wasting my time talking about something that is unprovable is pointless. It's like, what does that have to do with anything, you know? So Obasanjo, we say Obasanjo wanted a third term. Obasanjo says, show me proof I wanted a third term. There's no proof.
But so, Obasanjo's statement, however, do you agree with the things he said?
Exactly. So it's like, the important thing is, what did he say? Now, it doesn't mean that the profile of the messenger is not important. It is important. You have to look at his track record. But the truth is that if we look at it, Obasanjo has the right to say anything about the state of the nation. Since democracy, not just as a citizen, but as one of the most successful leaders since democracy returned. If you look at,
you think he was successful?
I think he was impressive.
Okay.
I said this at his. I was invited to speak at his 80th birthday, and I said, there are things that he has questions to answer on his succession planning, on third term, on corruption, on the source of his wealth. But when it comes to constructing a modern economy and a nation, Obasanjo knows something about that. He knows something about building a country that works. And so that gives him legitimacy to question
I wanted
his
to go to
successors.
the Minister of Information's response to the ex-president. He's, thanked him, for highlighting the things that the government was doing and mentioned the economy, which President Obasanjo had complained about. And he raised some issues like that. We have farmers from 6 million, they are now 12 million farmers, and that our foreign exchange reserve, foreign reserve has gone up to 40 billion. And analysts are like, that's not Buhari is doing. Is based on, this was your projected revenue on oil. Oil prices have increased because of winter, and so the excess is going into the reserve. So what's the big deal that you have done? The unfortunate thing is when oil prices go up internationally, Nigerians suffer. For instance, since Christmas, a lot of people have been buying petrol at higher than 200 naira. So is that really something to celebrate?
To be honest, let's give him his due.
Okay.
Let's say that. I mean, we climbed up on the ease of doing business index last year. That was impressive. The economy, I mean, it's bounced back. We came out of a recession. That's impressive.
And
so
a recession that they put us in.
Yes, but still, they brought us out of it.
Okay.
So you can give him all of that and still say, well, what of security? What of the headsmen? What of corruption? What of the disrespect with which you treated Nigerians when you were sick and you disappeared last year? We still don't know what ails the president, What of healthcare? What of education? There are all kinds of important aspects of our society that he has failed on. So if you carry the entire economy and dash him as success, it still doesn't rise to the level of competence.
The truth is that when he came into power, he had 3-point agenda, and I remember receiving the phone call from APC agents asking that what did I feel was more important.
All right.
And he said he was, one, going to fight corruption.
Corruption.
Number two, he was going to fight insecurity.
Yes.
And number three, he was going to provide employment. Those are the three indexes he expected us to use to
Yes.
gauge how effective he's been.
Yes.
Now, let us start analyzing one after the other, because when he started with corruption, the defense, which Obasanjo, former President Obasanjo, countered him saying that this fight of corruption that you claim you've succeeded in doing, there are still loopholes there. And the reply we got from the Minister of Information was that you can't blame me for the lack of effective response from the judiciary.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Saying that the judges are the ones that are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Ridiculous.
He has raised the cases. What do you say?
That's ridiculous, because it was the same excuse that Jonathan gave, that the APC said did not make sense.
Oh.
First and foremost, there have been strategic errors in the fighting of the corruption war. There has been more noise than action. So it's almost like, you say, you are corrupt, I want to arrest you, 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 before you actually do the arrest.
And the person runs away.
So it's, and then is that the explanation for how long it took with his SGF? Is that the explanation for how long it was the whole mess with the pensions, former pensions commission boss? That is a terrible excuse. Also, it means that you didn't know what you were talking about before when you were making those promises.
I agree.
We agree that all the promises
So we've already moved on from that one.
The issue of the economy, you see, we knew Nigeria, the recession was impending, because, it was the major reason why the campaign worked for them. Now, do you think that, they did so bad that we got into the recession, or that the recession was already obviously going to happen?
So it was,
and that the fact that they've tried to get us out of it was an A for them.
Remember that when Obama became president of America, America was about to enter into a recession, or was already even teetering on the edges. And then he immediately moved in. There was a bailout. There was the meeting with the bankers. His Treasury Secretary was in action. So in a modern economy, it is not unusual for a person to inherit a weak economy.
Exactly.
Precisely, what do you do to ensure, how do you stimulate growth? How do you stimulate spend? How do you activate hope? Because economy, security, stock exchanges, all these things run on hope. People spend based on a hope for the future.
So there's a question.
So the point is that if he was handed over a weak economy,
that's the problem.
What did he do
what
immediately?
did he do? And we know what he did.
Which
He
is
spent
why
months before he appointed minister.
I've had this
6
question all the time when economists come on this couch, that is the CBN exactly trying to strengthen the dollar or the naira when they say they're doing bailouts? Because we saw the naira fall so fast under their watch for a long time before, they decided, okay, now let's release
Because
the
they were trying to close up the economy.
So exactly which policy?
Everybody was advising them. You have to
mop out the money.
But they refused. There was this, to be honest, it's almost a
people
thing of
got
shame
rich,
for
oh.
me to say this, yes.
people
But it was
use
this
that
1984 approach to a
you see,
2016
all the way
economy.
back to 35
All right,
years
so I want
ago.
to bring you to something. Because we keep talking about their third point, which is to provide employment. Lagos State's idea of stimulating the economy was to generate activity. All through last year, there was activity. Right now, we're working towards Lagos Run, sponsored by different people. What should the federal government have done? Because we're seeing employment of people or sacking of people. What could we have done to stimulate the economy, to provide employment, to engage people, to ensure that there's money rolling around?
May I even add to that? Because I read Ngozi Iweala saying that a lot of people are pointing to Jonathan, and she criticized him for not having the political will to save when Nigeria was making a lot of money from crude oil. But that the reason we went into recession was, number one, 6 months, nobody at the arms of affairs. And then you held onto the dollar. The JP Morgans were warning you and telling you, and you said, no, this is the way I'm going to do it. So let it just be at the feet of Buhari. Don't come and be saying Jonathan, because you seem to know all the solutions, but then you came in and just rolled us back.
So what do you think?
So to be honest, economics is above my pay grade.
I like that.
It's above my pay grade. But I do know that I remember that Obi Ezekwesili wrote an article very early. Said, Mr. President, allow the market to discipline us. He was moving against the headwinds of how modern markets work by trying to centralize, command and control kind of economy. And everything that she predicted was going to happen to his approach happened.
I watched an interview with Governor El Rufai on a separate TV station, and he was asked that, do you think President Buhari will win in 2019? And he said categorically. And they asked are you listening to the pulse of the people? He said, yes, they can actually they know exactly the pulse of the people, that there are two classes of people, the political class and the regular people believe in Buhari and they're going to vote him in 2019. Do you agree?
Oh, yes, I have access to polling that shows that 2019 is Buhari's for the taking.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
majority
of Nigerians don't live in houses with ACs and DSTV.
Right.
Wow.
And those are the spaces in which I move. And in those spaces that I move, there's a consensus that he has performed badly. If you go to the streets of many parts of the north, they are still laying the blame solely on the feet of Jonathan. Many parts of the southeast is evened up in the middle. People believe that, you know, he's doing his best. The forces around him are the ones fighting him. There's such a belief in his personal morality and integrity.
Try.
The integrity one I can understand. The morality one I can't understand. You know.
What does moral have to do with it?
You know, I don't understand it. So he's a deeply popular.
We have to go on a break because I was going to go back to the fact that Boko Haram was one of the major factors that brought down former President Jonathan.
Yes.
And people believe that this Benue killings might actually bring down, but I'll hear your thoughts on it. Let's stay, we'll come back. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we went on the break, do you think the fact that our president's response to the Benue killings is strong enough to pull him down, considering how it happened for GED on Boko Haram?
It's a strong enough issue. But the thing is that it's an important issue for those who didn't like him already. That's the issue. But then if a person, for his supporters, it's not a big issue.
Really?
He's playing to his base. It's like Trump. Now he's playing to his base.
Jesus Christ.
You know, there's an assumption that Buhari is just this old man just doodling around the place, not knowing what he's doing. Of course not. This is an almost 80-year-old
We have
man.
reasons to
He's
suspect
smart
that.
now.
Considering that, you know, the wife's disposition now
Yes.
can easily, you know, it can easily imply that she's not on his side. It seems to be someone who is not approachable and doesn't listen. Because if within the house, you have to talk from outside.
Since I was born, unless she can be but again, I'm a hopeful person. But I know all these things. When people are trying to fight internal kitchen battles, they do everything. But in this country, this political class, they close back up. When it comes to his winning actual elections, they will forget any small disagreement that they have and they will band together again.
So let's...
You know, blood is thicker than water. in all kinds
Yes,
of ways.
true.
In all kinds of ways.
True. You see, let's go back to the over-promising and under-delivering, which is what we're seeing.
Yes.
And the fact that Nigerians seem to have very, very short memory, as in somebody on Instagram said we are adjustable spanner, like anything we adjust to it.
Yes.
Where do you think we would get, what point do you think we would get to that we will say, we can't take this anymore, we're going to go out and vote? How do we engage people to get to that point and say, we're going to go out and vote? We don't care who the person is, we'll go out and vote.
But first, I have to take responsibility because I was part of the people that
Thank you.
moved to the
Jumoke was coming to that question.
Oh, I'm waiting for
I don't
you.
want to just move over that quickly. But the truth is that also, many of the things that people said Buhari promised, he didn't actually say.
It was the APC.
However, he did promise things that he hasn't done. But I'm like, it's always better to isolate the things that he has said.
I mentioned the
that
three
didn't
that
do.
he
Yes,
said
which
he
is
would
precisely
do.
which he hasn't done. And there were those that people were just saying, it was an atmosphere of everybody wanted change, so people were saying whatever they wanted. And it makes me ashamed to be able to look back and say, I was looking at the
Apologize
video.
to us first.
No, I can't apologize because I still think. And it is easier for me to not think, to not say this, but I still think that voting for Buhari was the right thing to do in 2015.
At the time.
15 at the time.
Yes, and why it is because nation building is a long-term project. We're going to have a lot of candidates who will speak up to run this year. And the only reason they are doing that is because Buhari's victory as an opposition candidate proved to them
That it is
that
possible.
it is possible.
True.
And
That's
there is
victory in
the only
itself for our
way we could have-
democracy.
Yes. I look back, Jonathan, I criticized Jonathan harshly, but I didn't want him to be president in 2015. But you cannot take away from Jonathan the fact that the strong, independent National Electoral Commission that we have today
Jega.
is because of Jonathan. Now,
Very
that is,
true.
democracy is a continuum.
Right.
Yes.
And we are not where we were in 1999. So it's like I'm saying that Baba Buhari, his job is done. He has helped us break the monopoly for me.
Yeah, break the
I have
jinx.
a call from Jalingo, Taraba. Jacob, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Thanks for calling.
Good
Go
morning.
ahead, please. Joseph,
How are
sorry,
you?
go ahead. Go ahead, Joseph, we can hear you live.
It's okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I must say people are really touching on topical issues that concern majority of Nigerians. On a very serious note, we should be able to look at the later Obasanjo wrote, forget about who Obasanjo really is, because he's a man that is used to writing these letters. And most often than not, when he writes this letter, you discover that the content of the letter is so glaring that one cannot help but to reason the same way with him that, yes, really, those things he raised in this letter are really truth.
Okay.
And whether we do like it or not, this government have bring us down in such a way that none of us was really expecting. There are so much hope, there are so much anticipation that things are going to be better. At the end of the day, nothing is better. And we cannot even complain. Whenever you complain, you have a harsh answer. You don't have etiquette to really address our issues.
Etiquette.
They are always playing.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
Etiquette.
I think we got the point.
But there's something she mentioned I really need to say, that it is possible for people to come out and vote if they find a leader, a candidate that can inspire them to do that. People respond to leadership. We are made to respond to leadership. It's an evolutionary need. And the problem is that there is no person yet on
You
the
haven't
scene
seen any, those that have come out
that
so
have
far.
come out who has that capacity yet that has come out. That has come out. Things are going to change from February.
Okay, so
but there's nobody that's come
okay,
out
good.
that has that capacity to inspire people.
I believe the democracy that we practice is defaultive in the way that, in the sense that, you know, the elections are done in such a way everybody just aligns with the leader's party. So, you know, it's a chop and chop arrangement. Prior to Yar'Adua's election, we could do the local government elections first. We could do, you know, and that way we will have a strong opposition ruling in certain areas. So you can have the National Assembly independent of the executive. In such a way, there's a level of gross misconduct that they can condone. We can have an impeachment. Proper democratic process will go on. Now there's a new movement within the National Assembly to amend the Electoral Act, and some people have objections to that as well. What is your take on this particular arrangement?
Fantastic question.
To be honest, I'm not one of those that thinks that structure is the problem.
You don't agree with the president?
I think, obviously not. I think that structure, I think that substance is the problem. Look, if you, elementary study of management says that the structure, the organogram, the plan that you use, it's not really as important as whether whatever system you use, you do that system well, you execute flawlessly.
Okay.
Now, different nations have different forms of government. The UAE is different from the UK. The UK is different from the US. Right. The problem with Nigeria is not the structure of our local government elections. It's the quality of the people that run for local government elections. Right. That's what I think.
It's unavoidable with the structure that we have.
But the structure...
I would come into office knowing that my governor is an APC governor, and then have a PDP governor, and then wait for my allocation from that same governor, and then run my local government and answer to the same governor. It's almost impossible, Morayo. To protect political interests, you want to align. That's how it is now, and that's how Obasanjo got us here.
But that's the quality of the quality of the politicians we have that want to align. They've not moved in what's it called? In Anambra has never aligned with national politics in all the years that it has been there.
And they've been growing.
And they've been growing. It is not. It is the quality of the people.
Let me take this call from Momo. Momo, are you still there? Sorry for keeping you. Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, we tend to blame.
And there's even Ondo State with Mimiko
Yes,
now.
we keep blaming the structure, the system. I feel that the current system, before we start complaining about how this system, we should change it, I feel that we haven't fully milked the system and the opportunities that are in it. We've seen Lagos State confront the policies and fight to let it change. So why are other state governors not doing the same to ensure that they are productive? So I want us to face
happens is that, you know, this structure...
It's not structure. I'm totally against
the Cross River, hold on. But Cross River didn't have the same resources that Lagos State had.
And yet they created
Anambra was in debt before the PDP's Peter Obi, the APGAS Peter Obi became governor. Right. And he transformed the state.
He aligned to the PDP.
So he aligned to the PDP in posture. but not in substance.
Right, right.
Please, I want to quickly ask a question because
After
we
it's
focus
still-
on the federal. We focus on the federal like everything rise and fall on the federal. But we see that the closest to us that is more impactful on our lives are the state governments. And we are not paying attention to them, except for Lagos State that we see that there's things going
we're all
on.
here.
But there are 36 states in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And the 36 of them, if they are all productive like Lagos is,
Yeah.
we would have something happening there. And
Yeah.
the government, federal government will be under less pressure. What do you think Lagos, because they watch us in other states apart from Lagos, what do you think each citizen can do to engage the state governors beyond just saying that we are powerless, let's focus on the federal, let's
Before you
focus on the
respond,
federal.
let me take this call from Lekon. Lekon, are you still there?
Particularly
Yeah,
nothing.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Well, concerning the topic about the letter of General Obasanjo, I think we cannot divorce the past from the present.
Okay.
The Nigerian economy before the advent of the Buhari administration was in tatters, regardless of the fact that Jonathan did the rebasing of the economy. And if we are running away from history, we cannot get it right for in Nigeria
After 3 years.
because there cannot be any quick fix to the problem of Nigeria.
Right.
So historically, or from 1999 to the present, I think no government has done more than General Buhari.
Okay.
The National Assembly has been a clog in the wheel of the progress. Now, the CBN not to have done a meeting.
Lekon,
The board members have not been cleared by the National
what was the fuel
Assembly.
price again?
How
When
do
they came
you
into
want
power?
Buhari to perform?
Okay. What's the fuel price now?
Calm down now.
145.
Thank you very much, Lekon. Please, I do let our viewers
Sorry,
speak their views.
Lekon,
Do you know,
Yes.
a lot of people
Yeah.
usually even forget that we bought fuel at 87. There are some people in
Yeah,
Nigeria
but the
now
other
buying
thing just
it over
happened overnight.
200.
Okay, there are factors
But
that led
he
to this.
had the solutions. He saw what was happening. If he did not have the solution, he should not have even said that he wanted to be president.
He said
Don't
that-
come and be blaming 16 years.
But
We
this
knew
cause-
there were
This is
problems.
not his defense.
But
In
this
order
We
to be
cause-
fair,
knew there were
Chude, allow me
problems.
to-
If you did not have the
Jumoke, this is
solution, you
not
should
in
have stayed
defense.
at home.
This is not in defense. In order to be fair, Obasanjo had raised the fuel price higher. When Yaradua came into
He
position,
reduced
he
it.
reduced it because
Why?
the factors allowed it.
Yes.
Now Buhari came into government and the price of crude had dropped beyond, and he thought the factors would support it reducing, but it wasn't possible.
So three years.
This is not in defense.
Wait,
This is
in
not
3
in
years,
defense. He
what they
tried-
promised us in 2015
May I finish?
when they were increasing the
May
fuel
I
price,
finish?
has it happened in 3
May
years?
I finish,
I'm
Jumoke?
listening to you.
He took active steps to make sure that the price was at a point where Nigeria could survive it. Went into OPEC at the time. What's his name? The President Minister for State for Petroleum had meetings with other OPEC countries. Even Russia, they tried to meet with Russia to get the price stable at some point for us to be able to continue to have this excess crude that we have today. They made their efforts.
So in your view, what I
The
like you to
important
respond.
thing is that you can see that President Buhari remains hugely popular, and,
Yes.
and not just in the north.
Yes.
People are
Because
making
people are still
arguments.
blaming Jonathan for his
that's-
failures.
So that's important.
From
But
the
so
front
you're
page,
saying, what
just
should I
his
say?
failures.
So it's just important for us to understand, because we always think that there is a consensus across the country. Everybody is upset with him, and etc. But no, there's a divergence of opinion.
We're different
Nigeria is a
people.
complex country.
We are different people,
Yes.
and as different as we are, we need somebody who can understand our differences and
Yes.
motivate us into voting for that person.
Yes, that's what we need.
So in the scope of what we've seen so far, and
Yes.
we've seen people come out, we had Ahmed Buhari here who said he wants to contest for presidency. We've had somebody,
Professor
Isegali.
Moghalu.
We've had,
Moghalu.
no, he hasn't officially declared. We've had
Yes.
Donald Duke.
Donald Duke declare.
Has
And
the
I'm not
country
saying
come
you
here?
should
We'll come to,
come.
I want to go there after the
Right,
break, because
right,
there's a new, is going to the future
Yes.
to talk about how going
coalitions.
forward.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, we'll be right back.
Right.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, Toko was asking a question, which I was actually also going to ask you. You said earlier that we inherently gravitate towards leadership.
Yes.
And we don't really have that leader out there yet. In your view,
Yeah.
do you think Nigeria is ripe enough to identify a leader and say, you know what, this is the man we're going to follow? Is there anybody out there that you or anybody can cook the way you packaged President Buhari for us? Who have you packaged? Who are you packaging? Or is there somebody packageable enough for us to see as a leader in
So
future?
two things. One, leaders often have to offer themselves up. It's counterintuitive for people to all of
Bring
us to
you
come
out.
together you know, it's either a leader stands up or a small group of people brings that leader up. Historically, that's how it has always happened. It is possible for somebody to run against Buhari and win. It is possible.
Yes, no.
Let me tell you what discouraged me last year. Last year, and I think this is the first time I'm saying this in public, myself and a few friends of mine, one of them actually one of them came to us and said, Chude, I'm going to put up my house. I'm going to sell my house. This is somebody who, you don't know his name, so that you don't work for any of these old politicians. Let us start going together to look for candidates.
Wow.
So between January and May, we went around meeting politicians who we thought fit a modern economy and saying, please, you have to run. They were afraid of running against Buhari. They were frightened.
Wow.
Because they said, oh, you know, he has all these votes in the north. He has all these votes in the north and etc. etc. And when I looked at them, I understood what they're saying makes logical sense. If you think that somebody is going to win an election, as a politician, you want to count the cost.
Yes, so you
but
don't
what
want
it
to waste
made
your money.
me worried about was that we didn't have
Courage.
Courageous people.
And I'm sorry because some of them are people that I
Please,
respect.
that courageous
But
person, how much
the
does he need?
courageous. You see, the thing is that people respond to vision.
If you don't have
The
government
reason why
money,
this is
I know you are getting somewhere.
Money
I
is
know you-
secondary,
No,
right?
I know you're getting somewhere. I know
I
the
want
importance
him to-
of
and I
money.
want him to learn,
Yes. They respond to vision. My pastor said yesterday that one of the things, the most difficult process he has is that we have a leader that we don't hear from at all. We don't hear from our president. We don't connect with him.
No media
when
chats.
he's not feeling fine, he will tell us, I am not feeling fine.
Yes.
Pray for me, my
Yes.
people.
Yes.
That is a leader.
Yes.
A leader would expose his weakness
Yes.
and take ownership of the weaknesses that he has and help us to find it. So that we focus on money. Please help us, because I know you've done 3 elections and you've won. We obviously won 2 major elections in Africa.
Yes.
What
as a communication strategist.
Yes.
so tell us, so what's the communication strategy?
So the thing is that, first and foremost, and I'm talking to these candidates in case they are watching, they need to. It's when you are courageous. And we've seen it, you know, when I launched my book last year, How to Win Elections in Africa. And when I was doing tours across America and Canada and the UK, I would meet young Africans before Mugabe. And they would say, you know, look at Zimbabwe. And I say, look. And I used to say this. I say, it's because Zimbabweans were not yet serious to let go of Mugabe. Cabals are made up of human beings.
Yes.
Very true.
And as long as cabals are made up of human beings can always bring down other human beings. That's how society evolves.
Yes.
Let me pause you,
Business-
sir. Let me pause you. Let me take Tokwe has been holding for a while. Tokwe, are you there? Are you still there, Tokwe?
Yes, I am.
Please
I
go
am.
ahead. Thanks for calling.
I think it's high time we stop playing politics with our nation. And leaders should take responsibility for what they do, their actions and inactions. Yeah, I don't support the former speaker who spoke about the fact that we had problems before Buhari came in. We all are aware of the state of the nation. And his decision to saddle the nation was something that we thought he was prepared for. But I must be very honest, it's so clear, crystal clear that the nation is in a mess, a total mess.
Right.
And they were the one who stood against the previous government, and they had a lot to say every day about him, about his poor performance and so many things.
All right. Thank you very much,
This time
Tokwe.
around, this present government hates it when you talk about them.
Oh,
Politics is such protective that they don't want people to blame
they don't want
their
criticism.
poor performance. The other day I
Right.
was hearing about hate speech that when you
Yeah.
complain about the government,
Very
it
true, Tokwe.
stems.
Very true.
Thank you very much,
He's
Tokwe.
saying how this present government spoke against Jonathan every day.
And now they can't take it.
Against them, now you are hearing hate
Sincerely.
speech.
Please.
Ashiru Ibash says, good morning. I think the main problem of Nigeria isn't only the presidency, but also the state governors who refuse to do anything reasonably, excluding Ambodedo. Omo Gbalao says, whatever measures the leadership of Buhari is making, if it doesn't translate to what makes life easy for the ordinary man on the streets, it will still amount to no effort. The presidency needs to up its game. Shola Olakoton says, excellent morning. You ladies are doing an amazing job. Eat, Pray, Work says, the point when things will really change for Nigeria is when Nigerians really say no to corruption.
Right.
We enjoy from proceeds of corruption and we become sentimental when the axe is coming for a brother.
So you were making a
So
point.
2 things. First, Nigerians, you know this thing, this burden we put on citizens, I don't like it. Nigerians have said no to corruption. They voted Buhari in.
Exactly.
Nigerians have done their part.
Uh-huh.
The job of a citizen is to go and vote in elections,
And we've
speak
done
out against their government, take civil action, protest, etc. In a democracy, that's all they can do. we cannot afford to go back to a point where somebody intervenes militarily. It has never worked for us.
Yes.
So citizens have done their part. And citizens are getting ready to vote again in 2019. So there's that. But something quickly I want to say. This is the reason why Nigeria isn't changing. Buhari ran for election 4 times against ridicule, insults, disgrace,
Courage.
embarrassment. Yet, these 50-year-old politicians, I'm looking at you people, 40-year-old, just want to run and everything should align for them.
But Buhari
They want to
gave
be
up
able
after
to-
the 3rd time.
He gave up, but he came back.
Yeah,
For 4
they
times.
went to convince him.
4 times
So
he
if somebody comes to convince you, are you ready today?
So it's a question to ask all the people, young people who say they want to run.
Courage.
Do we have the same level of courage and tenacity to put our livelihoods
to round
on
up,
the line?
and I
So we
don't
have a ministry called Happiness. And then you decided to set up a company called Joy Inc.
What's that about, please?
Yes, so the reason why I did Joy Inc. was because, I mean, I've been around this country, I've done a lot of things, the Future Awards, all these things.
Yeah.
And
Congratulations with that.
Thank you. People are unhappy. Now, there is this fiction that we have, that we think that, no, it's because we're unhappy because we are poor, because there is no money. That's why we're unhappy. That once we sort off our money issues, we'll be happy. And when I went through I've gone through bouts of depression, clinical depression. And I began to learn and read up on the things that were worrying me. 2 years ago, I told my board I thought it was time to move on from red. And when I began to read up on the research, amazing. It's not we got it all wrong. It's actually that happy people build good societies.
So we have to be happy first.
Yes, because there's a professor in the University of North Carolina called Barbara Fredrickson that says it's a principle called the broaden and build. Which means if you are happier, you're more likely to engage, to collaborate, to step out, to create. And if you look at the societies that have excelled, there's a reason why the American Declaration, at center life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not economic growth. These are the things that we remember. We see these things to be self-evident, that men are created equal. So you first sort out the construction of a man's soul. And so I began to be very curious about this. Because, I've been in politics, I've been in political activity. I'm like, okay, have we been... Politics is important. We have to vote. We have to do all of that. But have we been thinking about this in a limited way? Is there a way that we can begin to... So
that's what you're pushing for now.
So that's where I am. So it's how can you help people be happy? How can you help them create happy communities? How can we create empathetic, kind, compassionate society?
I'm not empathetic towards you. Recently, you did an interview and you were saying that maybe you were too quick to judge the Buhari administration. And you mentioned a few...
which I mentioned again today.
Indices. And a few people said, well, have they paid you again?
Nigerians...
Who has paid you for 2019? Tell us. Let's just know. Not yet.
But I run a company that does governance communication, Statecraft Inc. It should be paid for its job. It does great work. It has done great work. It's working in 3 elections in Nigeria. So that's that. But the thing is that Nigerians are cynical, understandably. But cynicism has never built a nation.
That's not true.
After we finish being cynical, it has not built a family. We have to go back to hope. Now, in these elections, I know for fact. I told you, we went around talking to candidates last year. I know for it. First of all, when people say that Buhari, when I said that thing, people say, well, maybe Buhari has given me money. I'm like, if you know what I've been doing since last year. But I understand. We will have the candidates that we want this year. They will show up.
But they will win in 2023.
So what are we going to do
for them in 2019
when they show up?
We will vote them.
Get your PVC.
Yes, so
get your PVC.
Two of the young people that live in my house told me the other day they were going to get, these are boys that are not even in politics, said they were going to get their PVC. I'm like,
so
why? They said, they are going to vote 2019. And I thought 4 million people in the CVR have registered to vote. Those people are not going, they didn't register to vote because they want to vote for Buhari.
They have to run up.
What do we do with them?
Fantastic.
That's what we need to do now.
Get your PVC.
Get your PVC. So even if Buhari comes back, we shouldn't be perturbed.
I'm not going to
The idea is that we need to be courageous. Regardless, we know that 2023, we identify who our leader is, and we vote for him or her.
And let the leaders start doing something now.
Yes, let's start doing something now. And people come to meet me in November 2018. What are we going in 2017? What are we going to do in 2019? summit. I'm like, you're asking me in November 2017.
We have to run up. Thank you very much, Chude. Thank you so much.
Oh, we have been
So
working
we'll go to join link. Is there a website or something? Or do
Yes, please go to joyinc.xyz
Okay.
or follow us on Instagram,
Okay.
Joy Incredible.
Joy Incredible.
Joy
Fantastic.
For us
So
to be happy and
all our
joyful.
leaders should please go to Joy Incredible.
They should
They
find it.
can do this.
Yeah.
Success
That
Society.
joy,
Fantastic.
then give it out.
Thank
And then
you
give
very
it out.
much. Don't forget to be part of our live audience on Wednesdays. Please come early, 8 a.m., so that you can join the show. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.